everyone. Welcome. As we celebrate the Bat Mitzvah of Avery, we'll begin the afternoon service for Shabbat, the Minha service shortly, and we'll begin with a song. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. We begin the afternoon service for Shabbat on page 214 with Ashrei. Ashrei yoshvei beitecha od ya'aleluch hasela.
Hashem שקרא לו, השם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, הרוממך אלוהי המלך, בברכה שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, אבל שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני מהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אמחכה.
דור לדור שבח מעשיך, גבורתך יגידו.
הדר כבוד נודך, ודברי נפלאותיך השיחה.
וזוז תנועתך יאמרו, גדולתך ספרנה.
זכר אבטוחך יביאו, בצדקתך יעננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, על אפיים דור חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גדולתיו, וכבוד אדם מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
הנה כל אליך יצברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, מצביע לכוחי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יגרו מהם.
רצון ירב יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיע.
שומר אדוני את כל עמיו, ואת כל שיים ישמיע.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פיו, יברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה.
I invite you to rise as we continue on page 217 with the Chatzi Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך ירוצה, וימליך מלכותה, וחייכון וביומכון, וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ועד.
יתברך וישתבח, ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתלבט עליו, שמי תקודשה ויחוללה, מן כל ברכתה, ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה, דם ירהן מימיו עמו, אמן.
We continue with the Torah service, the Seder Kriyat Torah on page 218, and I would like to invite up Avery to lead us in the beginning of the Torah service.
ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני רצון אלוהים רוח חסדך, ענני באמת אישך.
Vayehi bin Soa Haron, Vayomer Moshe,
Kuma Adonai, ve'yafotzu oivecha, ve'yanusu misanecha mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח והאור, כי הוא בשמיים ובארץ, הוא בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה וימיד נעשה לכל ראש.
We continue with the Torah reading for Chaye Sarah as Avery chants from the Torah. We begin in the larger red books, which you can find at the shelf in the middle of the room, the Chumash. We begin on page 127, Genesis chapter 23, verse 1. And we may be seated, and I will call up Avery's grandparents for the first aliyah to the Torah to this pulpit. Ya'amod Shlomo Nachman ben Avraham v'Freda, Ta'amod Abigail Rachel bat Albert v'Shoshana, v'Rivka bat Peretz v'Mintzi l'aliyah rishona. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher V'bochar banu mikol amim, v'nosan lanu es Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayihiyu chaye Sarah meya shana v'esrim shana v'sheva shanim shenei chaye Sarah v'tamot Sarah b'kiryat arba hi Chevron be'eretz Kenan v'yavo Avraham lispod l'Sarah v'livkota Vayakom Avraham me al panei meto vayidaber el v'nei lemor ger v'toshav anohi imachem tenu li achuzat kever imachem vek bara meti milfanai vayanu v'nei et Avraham lemor lo shma'enu Adoni Nesi Elohim Ata B'tochenu B'mivchar Kivarenu Kivor Et Metecha Ish Mimenu Et Kivro Lo Yichlet Mimcha Mikvor Metecha Vayakom Avraham Vayishtachu L'amcha Aretz Livnei Chet.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temes, v'chayei olam natan b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach, mazel tov. For the second aliyah, I want to call up the parents of the bat mitzvah, Avery's parents. Ya'amod Michael ben Melech v'Yehudit, ta'amod Sarah bet Shlomo Nachman v'Rivka, l'aliyah hashniya. Baruch Adonai mevorach le'olam va'ed. Amen.
Where does it start? Vayidaber itam lemor im yesh et nafshechem likbor et meti milfanai shemauni ufiguli be'efron bein sohar vayiten li et milrat hamachpela asher lo asher bigzei sadehu bechesef malei yitnanali B'tochachem la'achuzat kaver v'efron yoshev b'toch v'nei chet vayan Efron ha'chiti et Avraham v'oznei v'nei chet lechol v'eshar yiro lemor lo Adoni shma'inu Hasadet natati lach v'hamara asher bo lach netatiha le'nei v'nei ami netatiha lach kivor meitecha vayishtachu Avraham lifnei am haaretz.
Amen. We continue with Genesis chapter 23, verse 13, as I call up for the very first time Avery to the Torah. Ta'amod, 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 bachora bat mitzvah, לעלייה השלישית חזקה. אביבה, חנה, בת מיכאל ושרה לעלייה השלישית חזקה.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach.
ברוך אדוני המברך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vayidaber el Ephron ba'oznei am ha'aretz lemor. Ach im atalu shma'eni natati kesef hasadeh kach mimeni vekbara et meti shama. Vayan Ephron et Avraham lemor lo Adoni shma'eni eretz arba meyot shekel kesef veini uvein ha mahi ve'et meit ha kivor vayishma Avraham el Ephron vayishkol Avraham le'Ephron et ha kesef asher diber v'oznei v'nechet arba meyot shekel kesef over lisocher. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Beautiful Avery. We continue with the Torah service on page 220, and I invite Michael to stay up. Ya'amod hagba v'tamod hagolelet. I invite up Janet as well. I invite you to rise, page 220. Vezot haTorah asher asa Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe.
You can be seated. Yashar Koach, Avery, on your Torah reading. Beautiful. And Avery's now going to share with us some words of Torah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all for joining me today as I become a bat mitzvah. Over the past 10 months, my understanding of Jewish values, morals, and ethics have deepened through studying Torah, learning to chant its verses, and focusing on prayers and significance of the Minha and Havdalah services. Throughout my whole life, my family and I attended temple on Shabbat and Jewish holidays, gathered at my grandparents' house to celebrate various festivities, and partied at the occasional bar or bat mitzvah. These events are filled with smiles and laughter from all generations, but we haven't been able to have these large family gatherings in a long time. This made me realize that in the past, I have taken for granted the simple beauty of everyone being in one room. When my family and I first talked about today, I never would have expected that we would be living through a pandemic and you would need proof of a vaccine to get indoors. But here we are, and I couldn't be more grateful. After reading through my Torah portion countless times, I started to realize how much the people in my parsha also have their own community and care deeply about family. The parsha I read today is called Chaye Sarah. This translates to the life of Sarah, who isn't actually alive in this part of the Torah. In fact, the parsha begins with her death, as the community around her recalls the amazing life she lived. After she dies, her husband Abraham goes to the people of Hebron and requests to buy the cave of Machpelah to bury Sarah. Abraham and the Hittites argued back and forth. They wanted to give Abraham the cave for free, but Abraham insisted on paying for it. Over centuries, many have interpreted Abraham's actions differently. Rabbi Rashi thought that Abraham wanted to spend the money he had on something grateful. Some believe that the people of Canaan had good intentions. Abraham was in their land, and they wanted to make a peace offering by giving him the cave as a present. This all may be true. However, I believe that a significant element of this section of the Parsha is that Abraham didn't fully trust the Hittites. In last week's Parsha, Lech Lecha, we read about Abraham's faith and trust in God. But in this week's Parsha, we see another side of Abraham as he struggles to trust his new neighbors. Since he came from a different land, maybe he was worried that the cave would be taken away from him if there was no legal contract or transaction of money. He loved Sarah so much that he wanted to make sure that the cave would belong to his family forever. After the Hittites finally agreed on Abraham's deal, he went home and made the decision that his son Isaac needed a wife. He kindly asked his servant Eliezer to go to his homeland, the city of Nahor, in order to find his son a wife. Even though Eliezer wasn't family, Abraham knew him well and trusted him to make the right decision. So, Eliezer takes a journey across the desert to Abraham's homeland. While riding his camels across the desert, Eliezer prays to God and trusts God to answer his prayer. He says, V'haya hanara asher omar Eliach hati nachadech ve'eshte ve'amara shete ve'gam gemayecha ashke ota hochachta. Let the maiden to whom I say, please lower your jar that I may drink, and who replies, drink and I will also water your camels. Later, when Eliezer arrives in Nahor, a woman named Rebekah approaches him with a pitcher and pours water for not only him, but his camels as well. God has responded to his prayer. Eliezer asks Rebekah if he can stay with her, and later tells her family about his prayer to God and how it had been answered. Rebekah's family trusted Eliezer's story and agreed to the arrangement. More importantly, Rebecca trusted this man, even though she had just met him, and she agreed to venture back to Canaan with Eliezer to meet Isaac, her future husband. As you may have noticed, throughout my Torah portion, one main theme is trust. Not only in the Torah, but also in real life, trust is a very important concept. Trust is usually something that is gained and not just handed right to you. I remember the first time I wanted to go somewhere alone. My friend was at my house and we really wanted to go to CVS to get whatever products we were into at the time. So, like the very relentless 8-year-olds we were, we went to my mom and asked if we could walk across the street by ourselves from 76th to 77th to go to CVS. Of course, my mom was confused at this request, but with some more persuading, she let us go. I now know that she had actually just stayed 10 feet behind us as we walked, so that we wouldn't see her. I also now know that she wasn't walking behind us because she didn't trust me, but because she didn't trust the rest of the world. Just like Abraham didn't trust the Hittites. They weren't his family, so he didn't feel as connected to them. Abraham had built a special bond with Eliezer, so he knew that the task would be completed with respect and diligence. Throughout the process of preparing for today, I was often asked, what does it mean to become a bat mitzvah? Every time I was asked this question, I didn't necessarily know how to answer, because up until this very moment, it wasn't something that applied to me. However, in the past month, as the date became closer and closer, I started to understand. Just like Eliezer had to own his actions and make sure he chose correctly, I have to make sure that going forward, I do the same. Becoming a bat mitzvah means owning your actions, taking responsibility, and most of all, learning how to be trusted. Especially learning what it means to be trusted in the eyes of my friends, my family, and my community. There have been so many people that have helped me and guided me throughout this whole process. My tutor, Michelle, has been working with me for a very long time to help prepare for today. We have talked about possibly everything in Judaism and all of my crazy ideas that go along with it. Thank you for helping me with everything I needed to learn and more. My parents have been there for me every step of the way long before my bat mitzvah. They have always helped me to achieve my goals and reassure me when I needed it. I really appreciate all of the kindness, laughter, and hugs that happen in our house. My grandparents have assisted me tremendously throughout preparing for today. They were always willing to pick up the phone and talk about my Torah portion or whatever I wanted to discuss. All of my friends that are here today have always been there for me and helped calm me down when I was nervous about my bat mitzvah. I have had so many laughs, cries, hysterical moments with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for making me the person I am today and trusting me with my new responsibilities up ahead. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher koach.
We say Yasher Koach to Avery. Thank you for teaching us and for your beautiful words of Torah. And I now invite up Avery's mom, and I'll have you give the Torah to Deborah, and I'll offer a blessing to you, Avery, as you stand under the talit of your grandfather that your parents will hold for you as a canopy for this blessing. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov, ve'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, veLeah. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless Avery, Aviva, Chana, bat Michael, veSarah, who has come forward this day to the reading of the Torah in recognition of her desire to live a worthy Jewish life. Avery, you have already shown so much desire to live a worthy Jewish life. You have earned the trust, as you spoke about, of those around you through your reliability and your kindness and truthfulness. as you enter into new situations in life, new schools, new friends, new endeavors, may you hold onto and nurture those qualities that make you who you are. You have shown for the past multiple years a passion for Jewish learning, especially learning Hebrew. You have taken initiative for your own education, and now, on this day, we can see how your hard work has paid off. Just as you do with every subject, you approached your preparation for your bat mitzvah with curiosity, with determination, and with independence. Your parents never had to tell you to study. I hope you and your parents and all your family feel so proud of yourself on this day when you've been called to the Torah for the first time. You, Avery, embody the quality of Ahavat Yisrael, love of the Jewish people and love of Jewishness, especially this past year. During lockdown, you organized Shabbat with your family, and you encouraged your family to come to morning minyan after your great uncle passed away this year, and you made sure to invite your grandparents for Shabbat. Your Hebrew name is Aviva Chana, named after your mother's grandfather Abraham, who immigrated to the U.S. from Jerusalem. Your family tells the story that he survived an illness with perseverance when he first got to this country. Like the Abraham who you read about in your parasha, he was a person of generosity. And your middle name, Chana, after your amazing grandmother, your father's mother, Jane. May you embody the qualities of these worthy ancestors of yours and continue to live up to your Hebrew name. May God continue to be with you and in the life that lies before you, just as God has been with you from the day of your birth until now. May it be God's will that you continue to grow in body and spirit, in wisdom and humility, in love of all creatures, in faithfulness and in courage, surrounded by your beloved family as you are today. May you always be regarded as gracious and wise in the eyes of God and all humanity. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lach shalom. And we say Amen. Amen. So I invite you to continue in the Siddur, in the prayer book on page 220 as Avery returns the Torah to the Ark and we continue with the afternoon service. Please rise, page 220.
Shemo levado.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayahem keren leyamo teila lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael amakerovo. Hallelujah.
And Mark to close the ark.
And as Avery returns to her seat, we'll just take a moment to sing Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov.
Continue with Chatzi Kaddish, page 222. Invite you to stay standing. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה אלמד יברח ירותה והמניח מלכותה בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יש מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפעל ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קודשה ויכול עולם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה דמיר מימה ואמו אמן. We turn to face east toward Jerusalem as we continue with the Amidah, the standing prayer, out loud, followed by a few moments of silent reflection. Page 223. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכה חסדי אבות ואמות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו ואהבה מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שריו
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע משיב הרוח ומרהיד הגשם מחלקל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים רחמים רבים סומך נופלים מרפא חולים ומותיר אסורים ומקים מנותו ישני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות ומתעמלך מחמימית ומחיה מצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה חיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים
אמן. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר
קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות לכל הארץ כבודו
קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך על הארץ כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו וטבעי קודשך כתוב לאמור
ימלוך אדוני לעולם מלך ציון רבת אור הללויה
ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד קודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. קדש ימינו, קדש ימינו כקדם. We continue with Kaddish Shalem, page 230. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואימרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולמות ועלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעל שם את הקודשה.
ברכו.
לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה תמיון וימה ויאמרו.
אמן. תתקבל זאתון ובאותון, דכל ישראל קדם אבון די ושמיה ואימרו.
אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל ויאמרו.
אמן.
עושה שלום
עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל
ויאמרו אמן.
We continue with Aleinu, page 231.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגוי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגואלנו ככל עמונם.
ואנחנו ומשתחווים ומודים
לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שבונת השמיים ויוצר הארץ ומשה לכל השמיים ובארץ. על כן נקרא לך אדוני אלוהינו נרד מהר בתפארת ובזכר.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We continue with Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish, on page 232. And anyone who's in mourning or observing a yard site, I invite you to rise for Kaddish. Also, anyone who is joining us and participating virtually, I invite you to rise now for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 232. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ועלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן.
אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו אמן.
Amen.
We approach the end of Shabbat right at this moment, and we will be led by Avery in a Havdalah service, a service that separates the holiness of Shabbat from the rest of the week and takes some of the sweetness of Shabbat with wine, spices, and light into the rest of the week. I know this service is meaningful to Avery, that she encountered it several years ago, and I invite you to come up, Avery, with your parents and family to continue with the Havdalah service. You can find the service on page...
You can find it on page 283.
Page 283.
Hine el Yeshuati
Eftach velo evchad Ki hozi vezimrat ya Adonai Vayehi li Yeshua. We'll take ושפתם מים בששון ממעייני הישועה
לאדוני הישועה על עמך ויראתך סלע אדוני צבאות עמנו משכב לנו אלוהי יעקב סלע אדוני צבאות אשרי אדם בוטח בה אדוני הושיע המלך עינינו ביום קורנו ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר כן תהיה לנו Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim.
And I invite you to smell the spices on your chair.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei miorei ha'esh borei miorei ha'esh.
We look at the light of the candle.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshen ben Yisrael le'amim ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshet yemei hamaseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol.
Tov, a good week, a sweet week, and a Mazal Tov to Avery on her beautiful leading, beautiful Torah reading, and words of Torah. And we say Shavua Tov as you continue the celebration. Mazel Tov.
Mazal tov, mazal tov.
Shavua Tov.